Alright, welcome back to episode 1. Today we are just going to be creating the project, and then we're also going to make the window. Alright, and we will also create a scene for that window. And the scene is just basically an object that holds all of the different things in our game, and then it's going to render and manage all of those objects so that we can then put it on top of the window, which is the application window. This is an application window if you don't know. Anyways, let's create the project. I'm using IntelliJ. You can use whatever you want. And we're going to be naming this game engine tutorial. And then we're going to use Java as the language. Build system is Gradle. And JDK is going to be 17 or below because Gradle is not compatible with 18 yet. I don't know. Maybe if you're watching it, it is compatible by now. We're going to rename the group ID to com.gameengine.rebound, and the rest should be good. So pause the video and make sure all of these settings are correct, and then create the project. Now it's going to load everything in. Gradle is for more complex projects, so we probably should not be using it, but whatever. Okay, so on the left we'll have our hierarchy. Now we want to find this source folder. If it doesn't exist, what you're going to want to do is click this main folder on the top left, and create a new directory. Actually, sorry, let me show you. Let's delete this. Let's right-click this new directory, and you can see right here, Gradle source sets. We're just going to want to click this first one with the blue folder called source main Java. So that'll create our 3 folders, and within this we're going to put all of our code. So first let's create a package, com.gameengine.rebound. This is going to store all of the code for our engine. And then let's create a new class called main, because we want to create the entry point to our application. We're just going to put the main method in here, and the only thing that this class will store is the main method, right? So we don't actually want to put anything in this main method. Instead, we want to go straight and create our window. So let's create a new package called window. And create a new window object or class in our package. And in here, we want to create a constructor. But before I continue, let me explain something. We only ever want one application window or one window in our while our program is running at all times. Only one window. So how do you prevent multiple versions of this window object from being created? Well, you create something called a private constructor, right? I'm doing that right now, so just type this in. Private window. We are creating a constructor. Normally we do a public constructor, but in this case we're doing a private constructor. And then you're probably wondering, okay, well, what does this do? Well, it makes it so that I can't actually access this window object. I can say window equals to a new window, but it'll throw us an error because the constructor is private. We cannot do new window because it's a private constructor. Okay, so how do we access this? Well, we are going to create an object called window, or called instance. This is going to store the only version of the window object that we will ever have. All right, so how do we access that? Because we put both of them as private. Well, we're going to create a public static getter of window. We're going to call it get instance. Actually, let's just call it get, because we're going to do window.get. And then we're going to do if instance equals to null, then we're going to do instance equals to new window. And then we're going to return that instance. Okay, so the reason for this is because this method, what it does is we are simply doing window.get. So in the main method, let's do window equals to new window. Can't do this, right? So what we're going to do instead is do window.get instance, and then that should do it. Okay. So what does this do? Well, we're going to say, all right, let's get the window. So first, we're going to check if the only existing instance of the window has been created. If it hasn't, then we are going to create a new instance of it, and then we're going to return that instance and send it back to the place of invoking this method. However, if we have created this window already, then we're just going to return the instance. Why is this important? Well, it allows us to not only create the window when we haven't yet, but it also allows us to make sure that no other version of this window is created. So there aren't multiple instances of this window, right? And it also allows you to get the window from any place in our code, which is very useful. It does 3 things at once, this one tiny piece of code. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's create a few of the basic attributes for this window. Now this is going to include the title, the width, and the height of the window. So let's do private string title, private int width and height. All right, and we can actually make these. Actually, no, let's not make that final. And right here in this constructor, we can do this dot title equals to I don't know, game. Let's call it game engine. There we go. And then this dot width is, let's just set it to 480, and the height is also going to be 480. And then we can create a new rectangle to represent this, or sorry, not new rectangle, a new dimension. So we can do private final dimension equals size. Let's import this. We can also put that to final, and we can do this dot size equals to new dimension. There we go. And inside of the parameters, we can just do width, height. So we're basically just creating this dimension object, which just stores the width and the height of something. And we're just going to pass in the width and the height, which is 480 by 480. Okay. So now let's create the thread. Actually, yeah, let's create the thread. All right, so let's do implement runnable. Now, our program's just going to run on this thread. I don't really need to know much about it. But anyways, let's do private thread. That's going to be our thread, and we're going to do private boolean running equals to false by default. Okay, so now we want to create the start and stop methods down here. Do public synchronized void start, and that is going to be synchronized with the stop method down here, public synchronized void stop. And we're going to say for the start method, running equals to true, and then we're going to create a new thread. It's going to target this object, and we are going to pass in the name, and just pass in title, I guess. And we can do thread dot start. Actually, we cannot pass in the title because we haven't, at the point of the when we run this method, the title will not have been specified yet. So we'll just say I don't know, game engine. All right. And now in the stop method, it's just running. If we are not running the program, let's return. Otherwise, let's do running equals to false, and then we'll do try to thread. We're going to try to join the previous that thread that we created, and then we're going to do interrupted exception E, and we're just going to print the stack trace if something goes wrong. Okay, so this looks a little bit overwhelming. Well, actually, probably not. Who knows? But don't worry. You don't really need to understand what this does because this isn't the main part of the program. All right, so now let's create the run method. You can see we're getting an error up here. Right here it says implement methods. Now it's going to ask us to implement the run method. So let's just add that and kind of want this at the top right here. So let's add this run method here. And this method is automatically called when the thread is run. So yeah. Also, we're going to do a private void init. Init stands for initialization, by the way. And then in this init method, we are going to create all of the Windows stuff. So first, before we create that, we need to create the actual objects. So we're going to have a private JFrame called frame, a private canvas called canvas. And essentially how this works is we have the J-frame. The J-frame is the window itself, and the canvas is going to have all of the contents of the J-frame. It's where we're going to put pictures or draw shapes, all of that cool stuff, and the J-frame is just going to hold the canvas. All right? You can think of the J-frame as sorry about that. Anyways, let's see. In the initialization method, so we have the J-frame. The J-frame, you can think of it as literally the frame that holds a sheet of paper, right? And that paper has, a picture on it or something like that. Okay, so in this init method, we're gonna want to create all of the window stuff. So let's do create frame in comments, and then we're gonna say frame equals to a new J-frame. Put in the title, and then we're going to do frame.set size to width and the height. All right, so that's going to set the size of the frame, and then we want to set the default close operation window constants.exit on close. This just means that it's going to close the program when we close the window. So like when we press this X mark on the top left of the window, it's going to stop the program as well. All right, and then we're going to set resizable to false, because we do not want to change the dimensions of the frame. This is what it means to change the dimensions of the frame, by the way. And then we're going to do frame.set location relative to null. This just makes sure that when we run the program, the frame actually appears in the center of the screen. Okay, now let's create the canvas. And we're going to do canvas equals to new canvas. And then we're going to set the preferred size to the size, which is the dimension object we created before. We're going to set the maximum size to the same size, and the minimum size to the same size. Whoops, what happened? Oh, set minimum size. There we go. And then we're going to say set focusable to false, which mainly has to do with, interacting with the canvas. What is it going to focus on, the frame or the canvas? Stuff like that. And then we are going to basically combine the frame and the canvas together by doing frame.add the canvas, and then we're going to pack it all together. If we hover our mouse over it, you can see it explains what this pack function does. It says it causes this window to be sized to fit the preferred size. Basically just inherits all of the canvas attributes from before. Okay, now let's create the loop. So in this run method, we're going to type in init, because we're going to initialize everything first, and then we're going to run a loop method, which is going to be put down here. Let's do private void loop, and this is the loop for our game, right? Because as you know, when you're playing a game, when you're watching a video, all of the animations, all of anything that moves, it's really just multiple pictures being played one after the other. And we need to run the program on a loop in order to do that. And each time we display the frame, we're gonna want to, display a different picture. That's basically what this loop is. It's basically just that it allows you to, change what's on the screen, etc. All right, so let's do a long, I didn't explain that very well, sorry. Long last time equals to system.nanotime. You don't really have to worry about this. This is all just a bunch of stuff. I know you have to put a couple of zeros here. I'm not sure how many. I think it's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Divided by 60D. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, it's 9. And then put D at the end of here. This is divided by 60. That just means we're going to run it at 60 ticks per second. We're going to do integer called ticks equals to 0, and frames equals to 0, and then the last timer, this you don't have to worry about, It's just getting the current time of the system. Then we're going to get the delta, and then we're going to do while running. So while the program is running, this is going to be our loop. This while loop, that's going to be the loop for our system. In each while loop, we're going to do long now equals to system.nanotime. That gets the current time of the program. We'll do delta plus equals to now minus the last time divided by the time per tick. Last time equals to now. And then inside of this while loop, we're going to nest another while loop. We're going to say while the delta is greater or equal to 1, we are going to do ticks plus plus update. And we're going to update, sorry, not update. Let's do update delta right here. And then we'll do delta minus equals to 1, which can be the same as minus minus. All right, then we're going to do try thread.sleep 5, and then we're going to catch the interrupted exception E. Okay, I actually forgot why we have this this piece of code here. I might remove it in a future tutorial. It might have been from a project where I did networking, connecting two computers, multiplayer. In which case I needed this here, but I don't know. I'll check that later. And we'll do frame plus plus, and then render. We're going to want to render things here, so let's do render right here in comments, because we haven't created that method yet. What is this? Frame cannot be frames. My bad. And then we'll do if the system.current time in milliseconds minus the last timer is greater or equal to 1000. Then we're going to do last timer plus equals to 1000 and get frame. Oh, we did not make that. Okay, so let's just do that real quick. Down here, let's do public. Here, wait. Let's see. Yeah. Public jframe get frame will return this dot frame. Public canvas get canvas, and we'll return this dot canvas. And then right here we'll do get frame dot set title, set it to the title plus the TPS, ticks per second. In the ticks per second, we're going to pass in ticks, and we're going to say that the FPS, frames per second, is going to be equal to that frame integer, and we're going to reset everything, and there we go. Whoops. Okay, and then I think after this loop, we're just going to type in stop to stop the function. Okay, so in here, in the main main window, you are going to want to do window.start. That should start it. And then let's do edit configuration. Let's add a new application and name this game engine. And for the main class, let's select this main class right here. Let's apply. Oh, it says we have an error, module or not. Oh, module not specified. Let's do 17, JDK 17. What do you mean no? Oh, main right here. Let's do apply, okay, and now we can run the program. All right, so it ran and nothing's happening. Did I? Oh, I think I did not set it to visible. Did I? Yeah, so you actually have to say set visible to true to make sure it actually is visible. So let's create a, over here, let's just do public static into get width. It's going to get the width of the JFrame. Let's do return get dot width. height, return get height, and then public void set visible boolean is visible to frame dot set visible to true. Or sorry, to is visible. All right. And then over here at the bottom, set visible to true. All right, there we go. Now it should work. Rerun it. There we go. That's our frame. Everything works. All right. That's it for today's tutorial. That was pretty long. Those 20 minutes of my life gone. All right, so see you guys in the next video. I'll hopefully make another video. Who knows? Yeah. Bye.